Murph, looked like you held up the four. That meant a lot to you. What was that moment like when you realized that, history?
Um, yeah, I mean, that was definitely a goal of mine coming in to win the event. Um, try to get as many points for the team as possible. But I think it's pretty cool to seeing how far the events come. I was talking to Shane Ryan, and we were 1-2 my freshman year. We were talking about I think we flipped at 21-6 at the 50, or I think I flipped at 21-6 my freshman year. And if you flip at 21-6 now, you're in last in the heat. So I think it's cool to see how fast NCAA swimming has gotten, and how fast specifically backstroke has gotten.
Obviously, it was sweet, getting your hand on the wall, but was there any disappointment that you weren't a little faster tonight?
I mean, obviously you want to go best times every time you swim, but Dave and Yuri had different things to say to me after the race. Dave is like, the quadrennial is a marathon; it's not a sprint. And then Yuri said, you almost become a victim of your own success. 43.9 it's not a bad time.
No.
But considering I've gone 43.4, it sounds like a bad time. So, that's, I think they're both right. This is just a step in the road in moving towards 2020. And, I think there's going to be a lot of improvements made between now and then.
Yeah. How do you feel? This is a stepping stone in that sense, but it's also an end point for something, an end point of your college career, end point of swimming with the guys in your class. So, is that kind of a weird feeling knowing that this is it in a sense?
Yeah, I mean, I've really enjoyed my 4 years of college swimming, and being around these guys. They're the best guys I know. So. It's very sad that this portion of my swimming career is coming to an end. But there's a lot for me to look forward to. I'm still going to be in California around those guys. So it's not like the traditional senior where it's you're just cut off essentially right after this meet. So I'm going to continue swimming with Cal and be around those guys.
Yeah. How about having that huge support on both sides, the bear suits? Are you how much are you taking this in?
Yeah, you try to take in as much as possible. And it's, like I said, it's just really fun being around the guys. Watching someone like Selly swim in the 400 IM, being in the team section for that. And, there's been moments where, our team section's been riled up and you're able to look to the stands and they're all going nuts too, and that's a feeling that you don't get at any other meet. I was telling the guys in a team meeting earlier this week that NCAA's is the best meet in the world, Olympics included, just because of the passion, the energy that's brought every session.
Yeah. Your coach really brings that energy. He's one of the loudest coaches out there. How much fun is that, and how much do you feed off of that?
Yeah, I think we all feed off of it. Dave and Yuri, it's like that every day. They make coming to practice really easy. It's easy to swim fast for coaches that are so passionate about what they do, have so much energy on deck every single day.
Ryan, how do your legs feel after 200 freestyle and 200 IM? I know they're probably not as crisp as you would have liked them for the 100 back and the 50 back on the relay. So how do you deal with that? Because obviously it's big time for you to be a team player and participate in those and help try to get victories, but it also takes away from what you can accomplish in your main events, your babies.
Yeah, I mean, if I was worried about individual success, I would have gone pro after last summer. And that's the beauty of a meet like NC2A's. You're swimming a bunch of times, but you're doing it for your team. You're not doing it for yourself or for anything else. And I think that's the beauty of college swimming, and I think that's it's a huge something that got me back in the water after the Olympics quicker than I probably would have if I had gone pro. Just being there with the guys, being motivated for a meet like this.
How's this one different? No Josh, no Pebs, and you guys have big crop of freshmen that are really contributing, especially Pavel. How's it different?
I mean, every team's different. You kind of, you see a lot of changes in yourself, and you see a lot of changes in the team. And, as you go through your 4 years. I remember when I was a freshman, I was just afraid of the seniors and did, exactly what they told me to do. Sophomore year, you're starting to figure it out. Junior year, you have a pretty good idea. And senior year, you're the person imparting wisdom on the young guys. And so it's pretty cool to go through that journey. And I think this team, as compared to the teams that passed 2 years, has a lot of really good racers. Guys that want to be the last person on the blocks on a relay that's in a tight race. And so I think they've learned a lot this year. And I think they're starting to see the results of that. And they have a lot of the meet's not over, but they have a lot of good takeaways from these first 3 days that they could put into the races tomorrow, and into the rest of their career.
Yeah. Wow.
For one more.
Okay, I think.
Ryan, can you tell me the experience you had over the 4 years in Berkeley? How was that for you, and how you think he helped you improve so much over all the 4 years that you won, and including the Olympics?
Yeah, that's a loaded question. When I chose Cal, I chose it because it's a great school. Had great young, hungry coaches, and I felt like I was similar to guys there. And it's the best decision I could have made. In terms of school, I think I'm in one of the most competitive majors in the country. And I think that's something I'm really proud of. In the pool, we have the best men's training group in the world, as evidenced from last summer. And I think that's just going to continue to grow over these next couple of years. And then in terms of friendships, these are the best friends I've ever had. I love the guys on my team, and I want to go behind the blocks fighting for anyone else.
Thanks, man. Congrats.